All right, so just got home from work. It is late. Had a long day today. She spent most of the day in our triage area, which is rather unusual to be there, all day. But it's a good day. Saw a lot of people. Got a lot of workups started, and one of the things that I like about working in triage, I don't love doing it all the time, but one of the things that's interesting about working in triage is the fact that you get to get a real bird's eye view of what's going on in the department. Now you miss, some of the EMS traffic that comes in, for critical patients. But for the most part, you get a pretty good idea of who's there, and you get a feel for the tone and the temperament of the department and kind of what's going on in the department. So it was good. Spent the whole day there. Good to be home. Excited to get ready to head to bed here in just a little bit. But I was listening to something on the way home. I've been kind of watching some videos or listening to some videos about YouTube creators, about how to just become a better YouTube creator. And one of the guys was Ty Myers. If you want to learn about how to become a YouTube creator, head over to his channel and watch that. But he was talking a little bit about, in one of his videos, about achieving some goals and a little bit of the letdown that happens once you've achieved a goal. And it reminded me of when I graduated residency. It's been a little bit now, but I remember, in medicine, you spend so much time getting to where you're trying to get to, right? You go to college, you're working hard to get the A's in class and to pass the MCAT and to do well so that you can get into medical school. And once you're in medical school, you have a new set of goals of getting through your first and second year and your step exams and getting out into the wards. And now you hit the wards and know how this is exciting. You actually get to see patients and you get to learn different things. And then you have the goal of getting into the rotations that you want to set yourself up for your residency application. And then comes fourth year and you start your residency application and start applying to the specialty that you want to go to and want to get into a particular specialty in a particular location. You do all the work there and you get your match letter, and all of a sudden you matched into your specialty and you've achieved that goal. But you're not done yet, right? You still have your whole residency to go, and if you want to go on to subspecialty training after that, a fellowship. And there's always these series of escalating goals that keep you motivated and keep you moving on. And I remember that, I definitely was processing through all those goals, all those different milestones. And I got to the final one, right? That graduation. And for me, I delayed it a little bit because I had a fellowship that I did. So I got through the residency graduation, I got into fellowship, did all my fellowship training, and got to my fellowship graduation and graduated. And I stood there, right? And I got my stuff, and then I started working, as an attending, and had this massive letdown of, I just spent basically the better part of a decade and then some training to get where I'm getting. And all of a sudden I've gotten there. I've reached the pinnacle. And now what? And everything thereafter seemed like it was just kind of this, repeat of the same old. And it just I was looking down, the future and saying, is this all there is? Is this all I have? And so I guess that was one of the thoughts that I had, that I was struggled with early on in my career, is, now what? Because there's really no more major goals once you've graduated residency, you're an attending. You can strive for different things, but you've hit the pinnacle. You are now the attending. So it got me thinking, what are ways that has helped me as I've kind of worked through that process, that transition of achieving a goal to now getting to a steady state in a career where I'm, progressing through the various different phases of a career. And so 3 things that I was thinking about talking about today, for things that have been helpful for me as I've kind of worked through this idea of pursuing goals. The first one is seek to improve daily in the little things. And this was modeled for me very, very early on when I was a third year medical student. I rotated in surgery, as all medical students do, and spent some time with a pediatric surgeon. And this particular pediatric surgeon was amazing. I don't remember his name. To this day, I can't remember, but he left an indelible mark on me and in my career because he had the most amazing bedside manner, for a surgeon. He said 2 things that were impactful to me. Number one was, hey, look, I'm a pediatric surgeon. I've got, medical school plus 5 years of residency plus multiple years of a pediatric surgery fellowship, and I'm getting referrals from all these pediatricians who've had a 3-year residency, right? So when it comes head to head of how much training I've had, I far surpass all the people that I've that are colleagues in the pediatric world, right? And he said, but those are the referral base, right? Those are the people who send you the business. And so you never, ever, ever put them down. You never speak poorly of them to the patient. You always build up the pediatrician and make them feel like $1 million because they're the ones that are going to send you your business, right? And he had this way of just kind of always building up the team, in front of the patient, right? And the other thing that he said that was super impactful, I've thought about this and I've actually used this as I've now gone to teach my residents and my medical students in the emergency department, and that is find the little things, even the mundane things, and try to always do it just a little bit better every time, right? And so he used the example of doing a hernia repair, and they're, a dime a dozen for a pediatric surgeon. You're doing these things, and he's like, rather than just treat it as a mundane ho-hum, let's get it done, but like find something in that procedure to really focus in on and make that thing better, the little things. And I thought that was really helpful just to think about, like, what are the things that I do where I can just really focus in on just one aspect of the technical details and how I can really improve that technical detail to improve that procedure, so that every day I'm always working on trying to get better. And so that's kind of the first thing, is you're now transitioning from achievement-based goals to really focusing on crafting and honing your craft and perfecting your craft. Because even though you've graduated residency, you're not perfect, right? There's going to be mistakes that you make and things that you struggle with. And so identifying, I'm going to work better on this. And even if it's the most mundane part of your practice, focusing on how do you make that better. Right? So that's number one. Number two is something that I've noticed is over the years, I've shifted away from a goal-based satisfaction in my career to more of a how can I serve the patient-based satisfaction. So now I find a lot of joy and satisfaction in meaning in how can I meet the patient's needs where they're at, right? It really is something that I've kind of grown into over the years. My original thoughts are, I guess, more along the lines of, what do you need? And let's get that need met. And, from just a practical standpoint, and I've really been leaning into kind of how can I provide that meaning and that satisfaction and make that relational connection with the patient. And so there's just kind of a change in kind of where you find your incentives and your satisfaction in your career as you kind of progress through these phases. And the third one, I guess, is the kind of thinking more broadly, and that is redefining our pursuits based on intentions and not based on goals, right? And so this idea came from author Ryder Carroll. He has developed this method of productivity called the bullet journal. And in his kind of discussion of the bullet journaling, he talks about this idea of intentions, right? And differentiates that from goals. So goals are this discrete thing that you want to accomplish, you want to achieve. I want to get this project done. I want to do this thing. I'm going to get to this place, right? Intentions are more of I want to become this thing, right? And so as we transition away from, I'm finishing up my training, I have the goal to get to the end and graduate. Now all of a sudden we're transitioning our thinking to not just graduation but I want to become a thing, right? I want to become, in this context, an excellent physician, right? One who is well-rounded, who can handle anything, who cares well for their patients, is highly regarded by their colleagues, right? It's an intention that I want to become a type of person, right? Or an archetype or a caricature of a thing, not necessarily I want this specific goal accomplished. And so as I've kind of transitioned away from, the training phase of my career, and now I've been doing the career part for a decade. A lot of my new goals are more in line with this idea of intention, of becoming a thing rather than accomplishing a particular thing. So anyway, that's a couple thoughts that I had as I've transitioned out of this idea of goal seeking and more becoming a physician, or the physician that I am today. I hope this was helpful for you, or maybe you could resonate with this. Maybe you've had a similar experience. If so, I'd love to hear about it in the comments below. Definitely, if you have some other thoughts, I'd love to hear about that as well. As always, thank you so much for watching. If you do find this helpful, if you do enjoy this content, I would definitely appreciate you hit that subscribe button and the notification bell. For more information like this, you can also head over to my website, excellentphysician.com, and we will see you in the next video. By the way, if you're wondering what that panting noise was, my dog's in his kennel right over here, and he hates it when I'm in the room and he's in his crate, and he just cannot sit still. So I apologize about that. Hopefully it wasn't too distracting. See you guys.